So we'll be using ASP.NET Core and Angular to build a fully functional but relatively simple dating site. Users are going to be able to log in and register to the application, and they'll receive a JSON web token back. Also, users are going to be able to update their own profiles, they'll be able to view other users' profiles, and we're also adding an image upload system into this as well. We'll also be integrating a private messaging system into our application so that users can message each other. And we'll be using Bootstrap for the styling to give it a great look and feel for our application without writing too much CSS. And we'll also, where we can, add a bit of pizzazz to our application as well. Now, we do have some protagonists we're using for this particular application, and we're using Microsoft's ASP.NET Core for our web API. We're using Microsoft Entity Framework for the object relational mapper that we use to query our database and create our database. And we're also using Angular for our client-side application. Now, this course has been updated in August 2019 to accommodate the latest versions at the time of recording of ASP.NET Core and Angular, which is currently on version 8. And we also have a supporting cast, and because it's a web application, of course, there's going to be some HTML, some CSS in there. We're also using node.js to support our Angular application, and we'll be using SQLite as our development-side database. Now, we're not going to be using SQLite in production, we're going to swap those later on in the course for more production-worthy databases, such as MySQL and SQL Server. We'll also be using Git for source control, and we'll be making use of Bootstrap to help us out with styling our application. And that's going to keep our CSS writing down to a minimum. So there are some prerequisites for this course, at least Hello World experience in ASP.NET Core or Angular. Just some familiarity with object-oriented programming would be helpful. And whilst this course is aimed at beginners, it's going to be challenging if you've never coded anything before in your life. I have had students who have taken this course before with zero coding experience, and whilst it has been challenging for them, they've managed to go through it okay. And we do explain every single line of code that we write in this course, so it is possible to do this course with zero knowledge, but it will be very challenging. Also helpful but not essential is knowledge of HTML and CSS, and like I say, everything that we do in this course is explained as we go along. So why this course then? Well, if you're a practical-minded learner and you'd like the idea of building a complete project that from start to finish, where we start with no pre-built code, just an empty terminal or console window, and we create everything from scratch, then this course could be right up your street. If you're a practical-minded learner who gets the most from learning by doing, then this course will be for you. 90 to 95% of the lessons in this course are all practical and all designed with the ultimate goal of learning whilst we're building an application that we then go on to publish. So if you do best by learning by doing, then this course could very well be perfect for you. So what you'll need for this particular course is a computer with an operating system installed. The code we write is cross-platform, so either Windows, Mac or Linux will be absolutely fine. And the code editor I'm using for the demos is Visual Studio Code, which is a free-to-use cross-platform code editor, and the experience is the same on Windows, Mac or Linux as well. That's the code editor that I'm going to use, but it's not compulsory for you to use the same one if you have another preference already. As long as it's capable of compiling .NET Core code, then it will be fine. But I would recommend giving Visual Studio Code a try. So, with the preamble out the way, let's begin.